What's going on, everybody? This is our Tuesday on SangLucci.com TV. We're going to talk about my losing trade from yesterday, my $100,000 losing trade from yesterday, which totally got out of hand, which, by the way, I was actually up in, and then just managed to turn it into a loser. So we'll go ahead and talk about that today. First things first, obviously, some of you trader folks out there who really watch the markets every single day, you're taking a look at what's going on right now. It's pretty wild, I mean, as far as those who were piled in on the short side, right? I mean, how many folks were piled in on the short side into this morning that got absolutely wasted? And now all of a sudden you have people that even got out of their long positions from yesterday because we were selling off, and now all of a sudden to look at their positions today or look at the options that they were in today, right back to where they sold it or even way above, what they ended up selling it for. So, case in point, my Bank of America long, my Goldman Sachs long. I was long Goldman Sachs. The damn thing opened up, yesterday at 163 and change. And I'm looking at, I remember selling it as the stock sold off into the afternoon. And I had a lot. I had a lot of money down on both of those things. I had a good 150 grand on both of those to swing them out because of that move that happened, last week. And I had, I think it was up to $250,000 at one point that I sold off in the weeklies, took my profit that one day. This was the day that I made, I don't know, I think it was like 40, 50 grand last week. And couldn't hold it. I couldn't hold it through yesterday's action. I mean, obviously you saw the sell-off. There was all the fear about Ukraine and everything, and now all of a sudden it's like it never even happened. And it does beg the question: was it all staged to begin with? And obviously it's kind of an asshole thing to say, about crisis that is really affecting certain people's lives, out in these countries. How it affects the markets, though, is a completely different story. And the fact that we're at all-time highs now, what really happened? All right, but forget about that. We'll talk about the loss. Real quick, what we're doing here in the law, I don't know if you guys can see this. Let's see if we can move this around here. All right, so you can see back over here now, there's desks all the way lining up to the wall, right? And that's Charlie's room that you're looking at. And now you can see Brian. And you can see that desk right there. Basically, there's going to be a line of desks all the way up to the kitchen now. And there's going to be like eight desks here with crazy monitors. There's going to be interns here and the whole nine, really. So, the place is definitely changing. The dynamic is definitely changing here. It should be interesting to see how things play out and who gets smacked the first time. Because I hate when people get in my damn way. Anyways, interact with us on Twitter, guys. Ask me questions about this particular trade. And what we're going to do, actually, is go through all of my entries and exits. So today you guys are going to get a nice spreadsheet of, the actual position and, when I got in, when I got out, where I fucked up, and all that kind of stuff. So let's get right to it. So first, let me show you guys a chart of this particular stock. This was the Google that I was in puts on, and I know it might be a little bit difficult to see on your screens. Try to bear with me here. I'll try to make it a little bit bigger. This was the stock here, 1220. She was really kind of consolidating. Actually, let's give you guys a 10-day or a month here. All right, so as you can see, she hit all-time highs and then just kind of went into this rut. She kind of went into this rut where, it was a range between sort of 12.12 and all the way up to like 12.25. Couldn't get out of this thing, and I'm basically trying to, figure out this thing for, a big sort of breakout either direction. Okay, so I was looking for, a big move, let's say, through 1230, so I could go ahead and take it long for a move to 1250, or she finally breaks down and dumps all the way to, let's say, 1180. So that was the idea behind it. You take this chop, you find a good entry for a nice short, and you go for it. So what happened was this was Friday. This was the last day of the month on February. Remember, there was sort of rumors about Ukraine that just kind of came out, and that's why the market sold off last week. So if you take a look at the actual index, That's what's actually happened here. So by the way, guys, this was the same day that the banks, really put in a great rally, and then all of a sudden, that news came out about the Ukraine, and we just tanked. We came back at the close, so I was like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and hold some of my bank long positions. But this Google, however, I started a position short in this thing, and then I got absolutely squeezed here. And then held some of these things overnight. Okay. Now, what happened was this particular day, I'll show you on let's see, the last couple of days here. So I saw this thing down at 12:05. I saw her dumping, down towards 1200. I say to myself, okay, you know what? She gapped down, market's gapped down. We're going to go ahead and sell off. So I get very heavy in some puts down here. Okay, particularly down here. I held through this, keeping this thing. All of a sudden now I'm in the money, and then there was that news that came out. There was that news that came out that said Russia pulled back some troops. I believe it was.
At 108.
What was the news?
At 108 they pulled back.
Right, but do you remember what the news was?
At 108, Russia is retreating.
Right.
They're pulling out.
Right. So that happened at 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock in the afternoon or whatever. 12 o'clock in the afternoon. It was like, okay, they're pulling out, and then all of a sudden there was a freak squeeze in this stock. 4 or 5 points in this thing, and that's when everything went to shit. All right, so now let me show you my actual entries, and then I'm going to show you the actual chart as well, so that you can take a look at both of these things together. Okay, so now here you go for the entries and exits on this particular put. Okay, so if you notice, I was actually on the call side in the morning. All right, and then flip to the put side, and then flip to the put side after. All right. So here we go. So this was the 1185 calls. I think I was selling these calls actually. So here are the 1185 puts that I bought. Now notice I bought for around 5 and change. This is the price that I actually got filled at. Okay, and these were the commissions, I believe. These were some fees or something like that. I probably should get rid of that, but whatever. All right, and now notice, these are the lots that I'm getting filled for. Okay, just a little bit. But notice, keep in mind the prices, and then focus on the 1185 call in particular. Okay, so you notice all the fills here are about $5, $6, $6 and change, around $5. Okay, and this was all at around 12:30. All right. Now, as soon as 12:30 started to happen, notice now I'm buying. I'm now averaging down in this thing. I'm gonna show you guys the chart in a second. I'm now averaging down in this thing. This is after the squeeze took place. I'm now averaging down. Look at this. Look at this. I'm continuing, and then all of a sudden I'm like, holy shit, she can't hold 4, and now I'm getting the hell out of this thing. All right. So we're talking about around 200, 250 call contracts. That just totally got wasted out. So look at me selling all of this up until about 1, 2 o'clock down at $3. All right, and this 1190 call, this is what we use to hedge out. But again, I mean, you can see me buying all the way up $5 and $6, and you're ending up selling for about 3, 3.5. Imagine yourself with 250 contracts. 250 contracts every dollar. That's 25 grand. That's 25 grand. So I want you guys to take a look at the actual chart as well. This way you can visualize all that I just showed you and my stupidness here. And Brian wants to interrupt.
First, there were the puts that you were buying. You keep saying calls by accident, so you don't want to confuse them.
I'm gonna smack the shit out of you right now. Yes, I know.
Okay, I'm just saying. We bought the 12-15 calls.
Yeah, we bought the 12-15 calls.
But because the vol was Monday, the vol was coming off. That's what you have to worry about. The vol came up as we crashed, and we come back up. You buy calls, and people don't care about the calls as much. The volatility comes off.
Yes,
it's a good hedge.
Yes, so that was one of the reasons. That was the other. I'll show you back on that spreadsheet so you can actually see the hedge. Thank you, Brian, for ruining my whole flow. This is what happens here at the loft. Peter interrupts. I got Brian here, and then I got interns too. It's a madhouse in here. All right, so this is the chart of the actual trade. Notice, I got 2 spike ups. So I was buying $5 to 6, and then all of a sudden, I'm still buying up here too. By the way, I was still buying up here. News came out, and then all of a sudden, that option just tanked, right? And then she never came back. And take a look at where she is now. So, lesson to you guys here. The best price that I could have gotten was maybe 5 and change. I mean, maybe to get out here for break even. You know, I mean, if you can get out for break even when you're sitting in these spikes, the problem is it's so difficult because when you're sitting in these spikes, now you're up money. You know, you're up 40 grand, you're up 50 grand. You don't want to let this go up here. And even if you do want to, you're not going to be able to get that liquidity anyway. Okay, and as soon as that news came out, which spiked the stock unbelievably, you know, that ruined my chances of just about getting out of anything. And let's go back to the chart here so you guys can see it. Yeah, so as soon as this happened, notice the stock's at about 1192, right? I even left the desk. I even left the computer because I was like, I got this. This is happening. This thing is going to tank to 1180, and we're good to go, okay? And then look at this. You get a squeeze of about 5 points based off news, you know? And what are you going to do with that? Well, the second that you can get out, notice she dumped back to 1193, 1194. I could have gotten out down there. I could have gotten out down there. I could have gotten out for break even or just a minimal loss. Now, what happened? Why did I hang on to this thing up until 1,200 bucks? Why did I hang on to this thing up until 1202? Well, that's the psychology of trading. That's that part of the equation, which nobody really talks about. You know, I mean, you can talk entries and exits all day, and you can talk what you want to do and what you should have done, or how to react, or putting your stop losses, or whatever, all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, you still have to hit that button. Like, you still have to hit that button and tell yourself, I'm gonna get the hell out of this thing. I'm gonna get the hell out of this thing. I'm gonna take break even, and I'm gonna come back in later. You know, and then I'm gonna come back in later. You can always do that. The problem is we don't always listen to ourselves. So hence why, again, we continue to preach psychology of trading and really understanding where your mind is at when you're making some of these trades or at some of these big inflection points or when the news hits and moves the market a lot. I'm sure a lot of you guys got hit just like me during that same event or even holding into overnights, you know, holding your shorts overnight. I'm sure a lot of people got smoked like that. And, you know, this is kind of one of those things where the particular environment, later, Brian, the particular environment is really difficult to hold overnights and to hold a directional bias. Okay, case in point, my bank trade. I mean, guys, you take a look at this Goldman Sachs today. The calls that I had from a week ago or from last week. I mean, these things are through the roof right now. All right, these things are through the roof right now. You know, you're talking about 20-cent options that are going to $1 to $2. I was in the 170 calls for the end of this week. And the 170 calls, actually I was in the 167.5 calls for the end of this week, and the 170 calls for the monthlies, right? And those things skyrocketed today, and I missed it by 1 day. Why? Because of a gap down between you know, Ukraine and Russia, where all of a sudden in 1 day it just disappears. It magically disappears, and everything is just back to normal. And these are one of the things that you can't account for in your trading. You know, you can't account for it. All you can do is react and try to avoid sticky situations. You know, try to avoid taking overnights in situations where you know, news could push us one way or the other. Try to avoid those situations. Or if you know that you don't have a good read on something on the market on the market in general, cut your size down. Cut your size down. Chill out a little bit. That money is going to come to you no matter what. It's going to come to you when when you're ready to make it and when your strategy is working at the right time. All right? So that's essentially what's going to happen. You know, what am I going to do? I mean, the Goldman Sachs from last week and the Bank of America, I'd have made 200 grand. Instead, what do I have to show for it? I have a $100,000 loss on stupid Google, and the Bank of America moves today, and I make 12 grand. That's what I got to show for it. You know, this shit is going to happen. It's going to happen, and these are one of the things that, you know, you cannot account for, and nobody's ever going to tell you about. Like, okay, you know, this is going to be the one. This is going to be one of these periods where it's going to be difficult for you to make money, or it's going to be difficult for you to navigate, you know, and understand even what's going on. You know, and all these gap ups and gap downs, they open the door up for a lot of mistakes in your decision making. So, you know, I mean, just because of the panic and just because of the high emotions. When your emotions are running high, you're going to make shittier decisions. It's just a natural correlation between the two. You know, sometimes you're going to stomach through it, and other times you're going to make mistakes. And that's what happened to me. I still have the issue where I can't let go of something that I'm so heavily invested in. That's one of my biggest issues, and I'm still working to fix that. But I'm doing a better job than last year. All right, so that's a wrap for the trade review. You guys can check the recording on the website or on YouTube. Make sure you guys are aware of the day trading. We're going to be on Power Trading Radio at 6 p.m. Okay, all you got to do is go to powertradingradio.com. Okay, and check us out over there. I'll put the link out on Twitter. Also, we have the True Brain. Actually, we're going to be talking about the True Brain experiment in Los Angeles in April, mid-April, on Power Trading Radio. All right, so check us out at 6 o'clock for that. If you can't check us out, make sure you hit the recording on the website and everything. All right, guys? Peace.